Hi, I'm Rich with Inside HPC. We're here at ISC 13 in Leipzig, Germany, and I'm here with Josh Simons from VMware. Now, you work for the CTO's office, correct?
I do work for the CTO office, Rich. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So I just wanted to check if something hadn't changed since we talked last, but you had a talk here this week. What was that about?
Yeah, so I was talking about performance in the cloud in particular. So trying to give people concrete ideas about the ways that they could actually get their applications to run better in a cloud environment.
So you're still running into the same objections there? Like, oh, performance isn't going to be there, I would never do that, or what's changing?
Yeah, so it was funny. So one of the things was the thought that you would have to change your application to run in a cloud environment. And so one of the points that I tried to make was that you shouldn't have to change your application at all. In fact, that would be a failure of the virtualization and cloud environment itself, because it's really meant to mimic a bare metal environment as closely as possible. So I made that point, and we also talked about the fact that throughput applications run with, say, roughly a 0 to 5% performance degradation. And we also talked about MPI, which is more of a challenge, but there's a lot of work actually going on the research side and then also on the commercial side as well to support MPI applications. If you look, for example, at what Microsoft did with Azure, actually supporting InfiniBand in their cloud environment, it's actually pretty cool. They got a machine up on the top 500 list, running, I think, at 90% efficiency. So what's happening now, I think I'm hoping we're finally getting past the performance discussion. People are starting to get the idea that that virtualization isn't, they've thought of it as just a tax in the past, and they're starting to sort of think past that a little bit to understand that that performance isn't the issue, and maybe there's some other things that they could actually benefit from a virtualization perspective.
Well, I think maybe we need to get more specific. Are we talking about public cloud or private in this kind of scenario?
Yeah, so that's a great question, because it seems like a lot of HPC people, the default when they think about cloud at all is they're thinking about they've got a bare metal HPC environment, and what they're trying to do at that point is then burst to a public cloud offering. So they're taking advantage of VMs running in a public cloud environment, but they're still using a bare metal environment at home at their own site. And that works, but it doesn't really unlock most of the value, I would say, of using a virtual environment for HPC, because the infrastructure that the service provider is offering to you is, they're doing it sort of on their terms, so they may be packing a lot of your VMs together onto the same physical hardware. Whereas if you start thinking about bringing a private cloud, starting with a private cloud for your HPC cluster at home, and then taking that and getting the benefits of things like live migration, and there's several other things we can do that you can't do in a bare metal environment that now become possible if you start with a private cloud.
Okay, and now I heard whispers that VMware was going to offer their own cloud. Which version would they have?
Yeah, so we're offering something, and it's in early access now, called the vCloud Hybrid Service. And it's a vSphere-based or vCloud-based offering that isn't specifically targeted at HPC, but it should run the sort of throughput applications that we've discussed in the past really, really well. The benefit is immediate to our customer base, because our customer base is running VMware infrastructure. They've already sort of drunk the very tasty virtualization Kool-Aid, and they're getting a lot of benefit out of running it privately on site. What this lets them do is burst to an environment that, unlike the HPC guys that are bursting from bare metal to virtual, this is bursting from virtual to virtual. Not only that, it's the same software in both locations. So all the benefit that you're getting from the VMware infrastructure that you're running locally is now also available as you burst up into this cloud infrastructure. So we think we know it's going to be interesting to the customer base, but we think generally we'll offer a pretty interesting solution that will be more broadly applicable to other workloads and other customers as well.
Okay, well, I can't let you go without asking about, we've been talking about HPC in the cloud. Do you see virtualization as that last key in the lock that's going to enable that to really come and be widely used?
Yeah, no, that is the enabling capability that sits underneath the cloud infrastructure, and it is, as you say, the key that needs to be turned to unlock it. And I think we're getting there. I mean, at SC, we definitely saw back in November, I think, a real sea change in the way that people were thinking about virtualization and cloud. And I think we're seeing some of that here at ISC as well in Leipzig.